episode of CancerTamer. I'm your host, Dr. Charley Ferrer.
Hi, I'm Debra Santulli-Barone of Did You Know?
And as you know, we're always looking about different topics on what to do when you have something. And so every time that we talk about it, we talk about different programs and we talk about different topics. And today our topic is one of the more important ones, I think, about isolation. And when you're diagnosed with cancer, you tend to get into survival mode and you tend to close in.
Definitely.
And, start depending on yourself, start doing everything that you can in order to survive, in order to deal with all the craziness that's coming at you. And what that ends up creating as time goes by is an isolation.
Right, because you withdraw from the world for a while just to be able to deal.
Because you're constantly in that survival mode.
Right.
And so the fact that that survival mode also brings on the isolation. And so what can you do to prevent yourself from going into isolation? From that, I mean, when you isolate yourself, you tend to not go out with friends. You tend to stay at home. The TV becomes your best friend.
You don't return calls or texts. I noticed
know not to do. And so what is your coping mechanism for being able to deal with all the insanity that's coming your way? Because that's really what ends up happening. It's you have one more thing on top of another thing, and you have to worry about your treatments and get into your treatments and taking care of the kids or taking care of yourself or buying groceries or dealing with transportation or cooking, and all of that gets to be very overwhelming. And so what ends up happening is that the person then wants to just back away and get some time to themselves and get some time to stop being in the insanity of cancer. And what ends up happening is that we end up isolating ourselves. We don't go out with our friends. We don't do the things that we used to do, whether we're physically able to or not. We tend to become couch potatoes. And like you said, I get to where I don't return calls after a while because I just need to shut down. And so what we would like to give you is some ways to shut down and to be able to do it constructively and in a healthy way for yourself so that you don't end up isolating yourself, because isolation then leads to depression and leads to other issues, and your health suffers from that as well.
Definitely, because once you, and it's normal to feel what you're feeling. Let's face it, because you're going to go through different modes. You're going to go through the mode of, oh my God, I'm in shock, this has happened to me. Then you're going to go through the, I'm feeling sorry for myself, and you're allowed to go through that. I had my head under the sheets too for a while. I gave myself a month. It was, and then after the month I said, okay, I have one little Debra here that says, okay, get up and do stuff. The other little Debra's sitting here going, I feel like a victim, and I'm comfortable being a victim, like this is a lot more, I could stay in bed. But then that other Debra said, okay, get up. You don't want to be known or remembered as a victim. And that kind of pushes you, because once you get in that depression, it's very hard. You feel the spiraling down to where, I felt like I was in a whirlpool and I was trying to climb back up. And finally, that survival mode of okay, Debra, you're not going to be a victim, got me out of that little whirl spin. I'm going to dig myself back up again. And isolation comes in different forms too, because you're not only withdrawing, there are people that withdraw from you, because I've had people that just stopped calling me.
Yeah.
And they never called me again. 3 years, 4 years later.
And you make a great point, because the isolation comes from not just isolating yourself from others, but you're also isolating yourself from yourself.
Right.
Because you may have been used to going out for walks or jogging or racing or drawing or painting or whatever it is that you wanted to do, and being much more active, and you get into that mindset, I don't want to call it the victim mode, but you get into that mindset of why bother?
Right.
Why bother? It's not going to change anything. It's not going to make anything better. It's not going to, give me back my life. I'm not going to be the same as before. I'm not. And you get into that mode of fear turns into depression.
Right.
And from
Very
that depression,
quickly.
you don't want to do anything. You don't want to be involved with anything. And I know I've gotten to where I allow myself to have at least one day, if a month or every other month, where I just shut off from the world.
Right.
So instead of doing it continuously, I make a conscious note.
Okay,
Because I
that's
think
good.
that's the piece of it that we're not even conscious of doing it. We're not conscious of isolating ourselves. We're not conscious of how much we're giving up
Right.
with this disease. And so when we look at it, it's like, oh, what do you mean I haven't talked to you in 2 months? What do you mean I didn't answer your emails and they were sent 3 months ago?
Right.
Because we just don't notice because it's so pervasive. And so some of the coping skills that we've come up with
Yes.
from our own experience and from talking with other women was, and the one thing that I said is I give myself one day every month or every other month to be able to just shut off the world. And
That's
I mean
smart.
total technology, everything.
And
I
she
won't
does.
answer.
She does it all the time.
Not all the time,
no.
at least once a
yeah,
month.
you've gotten better.
Because it gets so crazy in every
No,
other
and I
thing.
can't
And
blame
so
you.
it is that piece of,
Yeah.
I literally turn off all the electricity, turn off the TV, turn off the phone. I sit there, if I'm using my phone, I'm reading, from a Kindle book, whatever Kindle book I decided to read, some romance novel or something from one of my favorite authors, and just do that for the day.
Right.
And not have to cook or clean or do anything.
Right, or make any decisions,
Or
which
make,
is nice.
Yes, because it is that part of, having this disease or having any kind of difficulty in life, you're constantly in decision mode. And I think Harvard University actually did a study on decision depression.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was a constant having to make a decision. And you find a lot of mothers will have that, or individuals that are head of the household will have it to where, that part of, well, can I have this, or can I have that, or can I have this, or are you doing this, or are you, and it becomes one more question, just drives you nuts.
Yeah, it's overwhelming that you just don't want to think anymore, just for that day, like you
Just
said.
for that day.
Pick a day where you just don't have to make decisions anymore,
Right.
and hey, let somebody else figure out, what you're going to eat, what time it is that you're going to eat, or whatever.
Right, and the beauty of that is that you're making a conscious choice for this day, not every day,
Right.
but this one particular day. You can plan it out in your calendar and say, yep, on that day, I'm going to put it on my calendar for the 15th, and nobody's going to bother me, and so on. Because that also, putting it on the calendar also allows you not to have anything special that you have to do that day, or an appointment or something. So it's a conscious choice. And the one thing that I find with any kind of chronic illness is the fact that when you have it, you don't feel like you have control. You don't feel like you have a choice.
And no power.
And
you feel that you don't have any empowerment
Right.
at that
and
moment.
So because you're making this a choice,
Right.
as opposed to, well, I felt crappy today. But you're going, hey, this is my day to be off.
Okay.
Kind of like this is my vacation day.
Right, right.
And doing something fun. So some of the fun things that we thought of.
Yes.
So do you want to name a few?
Okay, so at the JCC, they have a program there for people that are seniors, anyone over 62, and it's called the CLLD program. You sign up, it doesn't cost anything to sign up, and they have different classes. You could take an art class, a yoga class, even have chair yoga, because in the beginning with cancer, sometimes you're too tired to do anything else. Chair yoga is great for the cancer patient. They actually have lunch. You can have lunch there. If you don't drive or you're too tired to drive, you can sign up for bus service. They have a van that will come and pick you up at your home and then take you home afterwards. You can see a movie, and all the cost is like $1 here, $2 there.
So
you're
it's
more or
very
less,
minimal.
Yeah, it's
I
minimal.
believe that they also have it to where if you can't afford it,
Oh, right,
then
right, that's true.
Then
From
they
what
have
I've heard,
grants
yeah.
or something that cover that.
I believe, and what's good, they have piano lessons, guitar lessons, ukulele lessons, probably piano lessons, singing lessons. So they have a lot of different things to keep you occupied. And then you had one, was it the YMCA, right, I think? Was the YMCA?
The YMCA actually has a program called Live Strong program. And so they allow you to be able to do some creative movement. I hate the word exercise because, you know, the minute that you say exercise, it's like, nope, not going to do that. Nope, I'm not healthy enough. You know, so we have that excuse, right? We always, oh, I can't lift, I can't bend, I can't. You know, it's like it's been 3 years, but still I can't lift, I can't bend.
Oh, you got to try it.
So instead of exercise, I love to say creative movement.
Okay.
So however you want to move.
Oh, I like that.
You know, so find a way to do creative movement. And the Live Strong program, actually, if you're a cancer patient, you have 3 months free, which is wonderful.
That is wonderful.
You know, 3 months free at the Y, and you can continue and get your membership if you want to afterwards. But if you don't, there's no requirement for you to do so.
Right.
Another thing we talked about was volunteering.
Yes, that's a good feeling.
And
like that
volunteering in your community, volunteering at the hospital, volunteering
at church,
at church.
Yeah, that's what I do. I
Anywhere.
volunteer at
Don't
church.
volunteer with the kids unless you really love kids.
Yeah,
But I would not recommend volunteering at a daycare.
That's a little tiring.
But you know, the point is that you volunteer to do something, and I think that
just for you.
By the volunteering, you end up getting healthier. You end up having somebody to connect with.
Oh, I think so.
You know, if you don't have an organization that you want to become a part of, create it.
Or give us a call, because we can always use help with something. You know? Especially
That is
social
true.
media or whatever.
Right.
There's always something you can do
There's
to
always
help
something
out.
that you can do. There's meetups. I know all over New York City, people meet up with other people. We're actually going to start doing a meetup once a week to do some qigong. Which is it's kind of like Tai Chi, but a little more, it works off of the chakras. And so we're going to be connecting with one of the masters here on Staten Island that's going to be doing it at the park with us.
What park?
Forest.
Oh, Clove Lake Parks?
Clove Lake Parks. So we're going to be doing that. So please stay tuned, and of course, you know, connect with us on our email list if you're interested. In info@CancerTamer.org. The program is totally free. So it's one of those things where, again, dealing with the isolation so that you're not isolated, so that you have 1 hour a day. 1 hour.
1 hour is fine. You can find 1 hour.
You can find 1 hour.
Really.
And it's one of those things where people say, well, I don't have time. I don't have time for this. I don't have time for that. I don't have time, you know, for going on vacation. Well, you know what? You don't have time. You make time.
Right, that's
because
true.
once you make the time, once you put it on your calendar, then it becomes an important piece of your day. And it's not that, oh, well, I'm going to be so stressed because I have so many other things. Well, make it one fun day. Make it one fun hour in your day, because that's the part of it. It's kind of like you eat once a day, right? So do this once a day.
Because you're worth it, you know? You're all worth it, and it's important, and it's good for your health, because you still have to be there for your family, maybe your parents too, if they're elderly. So there's so much that you can do out there to help others. And because you've gone through this journey, just talking about it with people that are going through the same journey can make them feel good too.
Yeah,
That's
and
very
it can
important.
help you.
Yeah.
I remember my famous meltdown at Macy's. You know, I had my famous meltdown at Macy's. I had a horrible, horrible test that I went, and it was very painful. And I went to Macy's, and I was calling Debra, just going, I don't care, I'm just going to spend money. I just need to spend money that I didn't have, by the way. So if you're going to do the retail therapy, make sure it's stuff you can return.
Yes, because I'm telling it, bring it back.
Bring it back.
Bring it back.
And so the whole piece there was that I met one wonderful woman at Macy's who just kind of looked at me with my 100 items, and you know, she's like, I'll start a room for you, and she just left me to my craziness. And afterwards, when it was all over and I brought stuff that was like 3 sizes too big, just because I was having my meltdown, she came over and she says, hey, you know, I'm just like you. And I'm thinking, you're not like me. What's wrong with you? I don't know you. And she goes, yeah, I had cervical cancer, and I'm still here 10 years later. And
that's amazing.
The minute she said that, I mean, all that angst went out, And I was just like, okay, thank you very much. I'm glad you're here. You know, because I was thinking of the fact that, wow, I have breast cancer and I'm going to die soon.
Of course.
You
And
know,
that's a normal feeling to feel, you know, at that moment.
And the fact that and the fact that everyone in my family had died from cancer, you know, my brain went straight to, I'm not going to make it to 55. And so having her be there, having her just say that, you know, she didn't have to reveal that to me. And so now every time I go to Macy's, I think of her and Pashi, and I'm like, hey, how are you? And I make a point to go and see if she's working.
That's great.
Because it was just that one little piece in that moment that I really needed to calm me down.
Well, I feel
didn't stop me from shopping more.
Stop, but that's all right. But I believe in angels, so I believe that this person was there for you, and like an angel, you know, and calming you down, and that's what it's all about. That having somebody to help you.
Yeah, and just reminding me that it's not the end. There's I will be around for years.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Other things that you can do too is you can do workshops. You can do different activities. I know that there's the arts lab.
Oh,
in
Snug Harbor, is it?
Snug Harbor.
Yes.
That they have an arts lab, and so you can go and do some art, do some stained glass, do some photography. They have this great thing on photography. They have programs for children, but they also have programs for adults, which is what I love.
Oh, good.
And
Big people stuff.
Yes, and you can go ahead and do that, and I believe that they have sponsorships as well, so that you can get a scholarship for it.
Oh, that's a good idea. You know, there's a lot on the island. If you look under also Staten Island Arts, you know, they have some, well, you look on our website and you'll see certain things where they have things going on, or even at the colleges that they have shows going on, and sometimes they're very inexpensive to see a show. I know recently Projectivity had a show going on at St. George, and it was actually free. And also, like, there's a concert that usually comes out every year in the summer, is Isla Bonita. You went last year to the festival, and actually my sons were performing.
I was going to say, Jordan, Jordan Barone, who actually did our music that you hear, our lovely music, was performing that day as well.
Yeah. So there's a lot of good stuff out there, because you got to get out. It's very easy to stay home and not do anything. Believe me, we've all been through it. But then there's got to be that push. Like I said, with me, there was this other Debra right there going, okay, get out there. Do this, do that. For me, it was mainly exercise. That was important to me because I had done it before, and I was angry that, you know, when am I going to do it, you know, even though I was tired. But I took baby steps and was able to do it just like you did, even just the walking and
stuff,
the part
of it
yoga,
is that
anything.
Because we get so isolated, we don't realize how much we're giving up.
Right.
Because there's nobody there. If you're single, there's nobody there to tell you, wow, you're not doing this, or look, you've given this up, or you've given that up. And it's very easy to get on the phone and say, oh no, I don't feel like going today.
Right.
Or, you know, I'll go next time. And next time you realize that you've said, I'll go next time for 6 months in a row.
That's true.
And so it is that part of depression that's coming in.
Right.
And so being very conscientious that depression can affect your health to such a degree that it can make you sicker.
Right, your immune system, everything.
Your immune system suffers,
that way,
and so on. So if you're getting to where you're noticing that you're depressed, by all means, go and get yourself a therapist. Go talk to the social worker at your hospital. Have a referral made to, you know, to a therapist. I'm a therapist myself, and I'm very opposed to taking depression medication without therapy.
Right.
You know, everybody needs a little boost when they have it in depression medicine. I'm not against depression medicine. I want you to understand that. What I'm against is taking depression medication and not getting the therapy to go together.
Right. That's
because
an ideal
it's like having a
situation
pill and it does nothing.
Right.
You know, you're still in the depression mode. And so that the therapy will help you get out of that, will help you find coping skills, will help you, you know, understand what tools you have in your own mental toolbox that can help you overcome, that can help you go, well, no, you're not going to sit in front of the TV, or, you know, You're not going to badmouth yourself continuously.
Right, and put yourself down. That's true.
Because
That
we
makes sense.
we tend to do that.
Oh
It's-
yeah, like, oh, if I didn't eat this all my life, or you sit there and you go, what if, what
Yeah.
if I had done this instead, and you drive yourself crazy, and then
Yeah,
it gets to
or
the point you
the
have to
fact
work
that
out.
you have a new body image that you're trying to work with, and you
Right.
may not be comfortable with. Especially for a woman who was very busty and now is very small, or where she had a dual mastectomy and she's not getting reconstruction.
Right.
That's a whole mental connection with our bodies and ourselves, and how we see ourselves and how the world sees us.
Right, because we
It needs to
identify
be
ourselves.
addressed.
Yeah, definitely.
And so even with individuals that have been, had their ovaries removed and such, that's an identity. And so making sure that you go and you talk to somebody and you get a competent therapist. I mean, I'm not embarrassed to say I go and I talk to somebody.
Yeah, I have a therapist too.
Yes,
Yeah, we
because
all
of the
do.
fact that the beauty of therapy is the fact that that person is there for you.
Right.
That person is there to talk to you, to catch you in your stuff. When you're saying things out of whack, because when you have a friend and you figure, oh well, I have a friend and I can talk to my friend,
It's different.
but you know that some things that you're embarrassed to admit,
Oh,
you're
right.
not going to tell your friend.
Right, you're
But
right.
you can tell your therapist.
That's
And
true.
whereas your friend is there to be your friend and to tell you, hey, yeah, I understand,
Right.
your therapist is going to give you that kick in the butt you
Oh
need.
yeah, and say get off your butt or whatever. Because I know, like with my therapist, what I've learned about myself is that I kind of catastrophize things. I start thinking, oh God, what's going to happen 5 years from now? Oh my God, this and that, and I start. Really, I have a very good creative imagination. and
You
I'm
think
like,
of all the doom and gloom.
Yeah, it's like, when I'm thinking 10 years down the road, and she's like, Debra, just live in the day, live in the week. What are you doing to yourself, really?
Right.
And I have to actually talk myself down sometimes and say, okay, why am I worried about 5, 10 years from now? And not because I'm going to die in 5 or 10 years, but just worry about even silly things like, oh, well, what if that person moves and I don't see them again if they move in 10 years? Like, you can't. You
What if
can't
my
do that.
kids have grandkids, and then what else is going to happen to them?
Yeah, it's
And
you
you
just
can
can't.
You
do it.
you drive yourself nuts.
Yeah, so the therapy is great, whether it's, if you meet
It
someone,
keeps
if
you in the
don't,
present.
yeah, and if you don't have the money, the hospitals have therapists there that you can talk to, usually for free.
Right.
Which
And the
is
social
great.
workers.
And the social workers,
Yeah.
which are great. Sometimes they're really on the ball, the social workers, more so than other people.
Right.
And don't let anyone prescribe anything unless they're going to, also order therapy for
Right.
the person.
And I mean, always talk to your doctor.
Yes.
We don't want to give you
Yeah,
medical
we're not,
advice.
I'm
But
not
do
medical.
talk to your doctor about the different things that are affecting you. Because depression can affect you to the point where you're actually doing more harm to your system with what's going on, and it can also affect the uptake of any kind of medication that you're doing, how you interact with, if you're doing chemo or radiation, how your body interacts. That's all part of that depression. So being very conscientious of what's going on in your life. And if you're not sure if you're depressed or not, then you're depressed. If you got to consider it, then know that it's happening. It's kind of like, I don't want to say it. I was going to say if you're a virgin or not. If you have to wonder, you're not.
That's right.
So, depression is the same way.
I think people know it. They just have to face it sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's okay. We've
And it is
all been there.
embarrassing. Yeah.
I know, but then it gets to a point where, look, we can talk about it, and it's better because you got to let it out. When I get depressed now or something really bugs me, I tend to put it out in the world, and even though some people think I'm just looking for sympathy, whether I put something on Facebook, it's not that. I'm just getting it off my shoulders and putting it on yours.
Yeah,
That's how I look
and
at
that's why you need a therapist. That's why you need a therapist, because you don't want it to be you're drowning your friend in all of this crazy, because they're sitting there going, I don't know what to say. But the therapist can go, okay, well, that's another session for you.
Yeah, right.
and
No,
and
but
being
it all
able
works.
to give you those coping skills,
Yeah.
which is the most important piece. And so whether you think you're depressed or you're not sure you're depressed, go in and get some therapy.
Definitely.
And the beauty, again, of the therapy is not that you have a mental condition, is that that person is there to help you.
Right.
That person is there to give you a little push a little
And teach you.
stepping stones so that you can feel better about yourself, what's going on, and so on.
Right, that
So
makes
it's
sense.
always, I love it when I see patients, I always do the same thing. It's like, why are you here?
Right.
What do you need? What would you like me to help you with? Because the therapist can't do the treatment for you. It's you doing it for yourself. So you deciding which way do I want to go, how far do I want to go, and what do I want for my life? Because you don't want to spend the rest of your life depressed and not know it.
Right, that's true. Another thing with, actually some of the parks have pools that you can swim in for free. Some people find that very enjoyable and relaxing.
Right.
I know there was one in Tottenville. I don't know if it's still there, but I know on the North Shore there's pools that people go and they swim, or there's a pool at CSI, College of Staten Island. There's a pool at the YMCA.
Yeah.
Actually, the JCC will actually, with the CLD program, you can do it for free.
Yeah, and there are programs online that you can do. The only thing that I say about programs online is that you're still isolated.
Yeah,
it's
you're
still
all alone.
one-on-one. So the more face interaction that you can have with other people, the better.
Right.
So finding ways to make yourself happier, make yourself enjoy. And also, food is a major factor that we haven't even had a chance to talk about.
Right.
Because we're actually going to be doing a nutritional workshop. Debra got certified in nutrition, which is awesome. And so being able to talk a little bit more about nutrition and what you can do, and the idea of being able to make different foods for yourself,
Right.
being able
That's very important.
to start looking and being conscious of what you're putting in your body. Because if you don't realize it, there's so much bad stuff, and processed food isn't wonderful for you. But one of the things that you can discover is all these wonderful root vegetables and different juicing and things like that can actually make you healthier and help you with that depression, help you getting more healthy just by tweaking one little thing.
That's true.
Something as simple as, you love your mashed potatoes. Well, what about substituting just a little bit of turnips?
Right.
Can't tell the difference.
Cauliflower too.
Or
yeah.
cauliflower.
Yeah, definitely.
Something that simple can actually impact your health
Right.
to such a degree. And also the fact that depression can be brought on by what you're eating.
True.
Depending on what you're eating. So being very conscientious of that.
Right,
So,
and eating more because you're depressed.
and
that's not
eating more,
good.
and then you start getting into this spiral. So being very conscientious of that spiral. And the one thing that we can, and this is where I throw back into the therapy piece, is that we can tell when we start to spiral.
Yeah,
But
you
we're
know
not
it.
sure how to stop the spiral.
Right.
And so the beauty of having that therapist there is that she can give you some coping skills. So once again, we're out of time.
That's right.
And we've talked about isolation. So again, the things that you can do, feel free to contact us. Go to our website, www.cancertamer.org, to be able to see this show as well as other shows and get information on what we talk about and some of the programs that we bring onto the show and discuss. And if you have a program that you'd like us to interview the individuals for, let us know. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.